applause for Mikaela May.
Hey.
Any questions? No, let us tell us about the fight.
Yeah, so that was my first 10-rounder, but I've been ready for a 10-rounder for a little while now. I think that I've shown to be a 10-round fighter. I feel like I get stronger as the round goes on, and I think round 5 and 10 were my best rounds. Wasn't tired, we trained hard, and we had a really tough opponent. She came hard, she brought her best game, pressured us, we knew she was going to do that. I think that top rank has given me really quality opponents over the last 11 fights, which is exactly what I want. I don't want any easy fights. I want to continually challenge myself so that I can get better, because I know I have a lot of tough fights ahead of me, and these are the kind of fights that are going to prepare me for those.
Mikaela, so we talked earlier in the week about your defense becoming a bigger part, actually, of your performance. I noticed around round 4, you were going to the body, and then you went back upstairs, and then your defense took over. How did you feel in the later rounds when Elizabeth was actually pressing you a little bit more to engage?
I definitely felt stronger going into those later rounds. Like I said, I think that I'm proving to be a good pro and a good 10-round fighter. I might have started off a little bit slow, and that's something we're definitely going to go back and work on, picking it up in the earlier rounds. But you know, it's different from the amateurs. I don't want to rush my shots. I want to be able to take my time and really look. I don't want to throw punches just to throw punches. I want to see what's going on and pick my shots more. So I think that's why I started off a little bit slow, and then picked it up towards the end of the rounds, towards the end of the fight.
Mikaela, right over to your fight. First off, great performance. That was a great fight. So it's been said several times already that you want to change women's boxing for the better, of course. Campaigning for 3-minute rounds as opposed to 2-minute rounds, is this something that is on the table or on the radar at all?
Yeah, so I answered this question the other day. My thoughts sort of changed on that since I've been in my second year of being pro. When I first turned pro and I sat down and talked to Bill and we talked about that 3 or 2-minute rounds, and I'm thinking, well, am I going to get paid more to go 3-minute rounds? Am I going to protest and fight for something and not get anything in return? And so it wasn't really on my mind to push for that. I was just turning pro and transitioning, and I want to kind of feel it out and get my feet wet. But now that I see sort of my pro style, and that I sort of get better as the fight goes on, and I really do want more time. You know, my last few fights were only 8 rounds, and I really feel like if I would have had another round or two, maybe 3-minute rounds, that I would have stopped those girls. So I definitely would have had more knockouts on my record. And we train hard. I could easily go 10 3-minute rounds. I don't think it would be a problem. And I think with my style specifically, that it would actually benefit me.
Bob, kind of similar question. Can you help in that regard as far as helping Mikaela get 3-minute rounds in her next fights and kind of maybe starting beating that drum?
Well, I want to tell you the truth. You know, I see the advantage of 3-minute rounds, and I certainly favor them. But the idea that I would go out and work for the next year and a half to get everybody, all these commissions and so forth, to change the rules to go from 2-minute rounds to 3, I'm not going to do it. For the next year and a half, I'm going to be busy doing what I can to get this idiot out of the White House.
I think over time, it'll change, right? So women are just now making a mark in the pro game. Everything's sort of coming together for us. Promoters are finally picking up their first females. We're finally getting broadcasted on major networks like ESPN. And so it's going to happen. It's going to change. Equality is going to come. I think that we just have to keep getting in the ring and doing our best and showing that we can get in there, we can fight hard, and we can put on great shows. And I think it'll happen naturally.
And you saw what happened tonight. You know, we had, in effect, 2 broadcasters, ESPN Linear, ESPN 2, and Mikaela was the main event on that show, and then we went to ESPN Plus, and because it went past the 7 o'clock start time, ESPN Plus also picked up Mikaela's fight.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're not going to get paid extra.
Now I know it's negotiate.
Mikaela, congratulations on your victory. Just want to know, I know you have a very good relationship with other female fighters such as Clarissa Shields. What do you think needs to happen? It seems like these last couple of years, fighters like yourself, Clarissa, Jessica McCaskill, have really made a lot of noise and brought attention to female boxing. What do you think needs to happen? Because in MMA, females are bigger than in boxing. What do you think needs to happen in the sport of boxing for yourself and these other female stars to get the respect that you guys deserve?
It's happening. Things just take a little bit of time. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but these last 2 years have flown by like crazy. Like, I don't feel like I've been pro for 2 years. And so much has happened in such a small amount of time. And think about another 2-3 years down the road. It's gonna continue to grow. There's no denying us now. The talent pool is way too deep, especially with AIBA finally allowing women into the Olympics for boxing. That really gave us a platform and a stepping stone to come to these promoters and say, hey, look what I've accomplished, look at my resume, and we can't be denied anymore. And the more promoters pick up these females and the more networks say, hey, let's move these females and give them the stage and give them the spotlight, it'll happen. And like I said, it can't be denied because the talent pool is there. And it took the Olympics because in order for that talent pool to be there, the women needed to compete at that world-class level, right? So that's how you gain experience, and we have that now. And I mean, over the next 5 or 10 years, there's no way it's going to wash out the way it did over the last 10 years. There's just too many girls coming up.
And they come from all over the world, which is great. Any more questions? Round of applause for the future.